Welcome back to another episode of the Career Strategy Podcast. And today we are addressing a topic that people ask me about all of the time. Why do recruiters, hiring managers, etc., not reply to my cold messages? Maybe this has happened to you. You have sent a recruiter a DM, an email, etc., and nothing, right? And then you start to worry and you start to think, do they not like me? Did I say the wrong thing? Did I not have a good enough subject line? Was there a spelling mistake? You catastrophize and think about all of the reasons why they didn't reply to your cold messages. So today, we're going to talk about what can make the difference and flip this so that people actually start replying to your messages. And the truth is, people are more likely to engage with someone they're already familiar with, right? So if your messages are going unanswered and you feel like you're ghosted all the time, it's time to stop being perceived as a cold contact and start warming up those connections. So you're perceived essentially as a lukewarm connection, someone that the recipient already is familiar with, whether they recognize your name, your face, your email address, whatever it is. But this is going to shift you from being perceived as a cold message in their inbox. So in this episode, we're going to cover 5 LinkedIn strategies to help you go from being perceived as a total stranger to a more familiar, lukewarm presence in someone's inbox. All right, let's dive in. So, part 1, let's briefly talk about the problem here, right? Why cold messages get ignored. Essentially, recruiters and hiring managers are busy. You see on LinkedIn, hundreds of people apply to roles, right? And so if you put yourself in their shoes, many recruiters and hiring managers are not just hiring for one role, they're hiring for multiple roles. So if you times 100 applicants times 5 roles, or 200 or 300 applicants times 5 roles, that's a lot of applicants. And if some percent of those applicants are all sending cold messages, that floods the inbox really, really quickly. And that's why it's so easy for them to miss your message or just not even reply. That is also why it is so crucial to build and create familiarity for you as a person and as a candidate before you ever hit apply, before you ever hit send on that DM or email. So the solution here is that we're going to leverage the channel of LinkedIn to help you become familiar so that you're a lukewarm candidate, a lukewarm contact for when you do send people messages. You're going to be more likely to stand out and less likely to get ghosted. And I know some of you hate LinkedIn. You think it's horrible. You have all these reasons. Fine. You can still hate LinkedIn and use it in a strategic way to build and nurture relationships. I myself get annoyed with LinkedIn quite often, but I hang out there because I know that's where the people I want to connect with hang out, right? So if you have resistance to hanging out on LinkedIn, you kind of have to ask yourself, do I want to be visible? If yes, where are the people that I want to be visible to? And if the answer is LinkedIn, then guess what? You kind of have to hang out on LinkedIn, even if your soul is telling you you don't want to be there. All right, so let's dive into our 5 strategies to go from cold to lukewarm. Number 1, you need to go follow people you want to create or nurture relationships with. Notice I said follow and not connect yet. So we want to go follow these people. Why? Because when you follow them, this increases the likelihood that when you log into LinkedIn and go to your feed, you're going to see posts by these people. And if you're seeing posts from the people that you want to connect with, it makes it a heck of a lot easier to like, to write a comment, etc., right? You can connect with them later, but let's just start with following. All right, no, number two, we need you to start reacting to the content from the people you just followed. Okay, so what do I mean by react? It's really about using that like button or a heart or clap, whatever you want to do. Do that. This is like giving a virtual nod to someone that's like, that was cool, that was interesting, thanks for posting that, etc. But we don't want to stop there. It's not enough just to like stuff and heart stuff. You're going to become an even more lukewarm connection when you leave thoughtful comments. And the key here is thoughtful. I didn't say leave one word comments, I said leave thoughtful comments. So we're going to go beyond simple comments or vague comments or robotic comments like, thanks for sharing your ideas, or cool, neat, appreciate you posting this, etc. And let's leave longer, more thoughtful sentences. Now, we don't need to be leaving paragraph long replies, although if you want to, great. It could just be one or two sentences. Here's the thing, though, which is going to lead us to point number 4. We want to be authentic, not robotic. I know it is tempting to use AI to write your LinkedIn comments for you. And I promise people can see and spot and sense the AI comments. I've read a lot of articles about this, and I myself am the recipient of a lot of robotic comments, and I can spot them a mile away. And what do I often do? Sometimes I delete them, or it just doesn't catch my attention, and I'm not going to click that person's profile to go engage with them because I'm like, oh, they're using robot AI comments. Like, I'm not going to have a conversation with them. I know that probably sounds brutal, but it is true. It also just starts to feel really repetitive. If a lot of people are using AI tools to help them write LinkedIn comments, sometimes those tools are spitting out very similar replies all of the time. So just don't use them. Use your own brain and write your own comments. All right, number 5, our last one. We want to move the conversations to the DMs or direct messages. There may be times when you comment on someone's post or reply to someone's comment and you start going back and forth. That's an opportunity to take the conversation to their DMs. Just send them a DM and say like, hey, I wanted to bring this over here so we could talk about this more deeply or something like that. Or I don't want to let our conversation, get lost on that post. Many things you could say, but it's great way to kind of move that relationship on a little more is what I'm trying to say. All right. So moving the conversation to the DMs, especially if you've gone back and forth in comments a bunch of times, might be a sign to just take it into the DMs. And then you might be like, hey, I have a question for you. Or, hey, I noticed this, that, the other about your, career history or something. And you could ask them, other questions that maybe they would be less likely to answer if it was embedded in like a LinkedIn comment or something like that. It really just allows for more personal and meaningful discussions, which can strengthen the relationship and open up new opportunities. And the outcome of doing all these things is that you're building relationships before you need them, right? What you don't want to do is start reaching out to people the day after you lost your job or the day you see a job you want to apply to and you have no history with them, because guess what? That's a cold message. That's a cold contact. That's a cold touch point. And people are going to be more likely to engage with you if you are perceived as lukewarm. Okay. And I want to give you a quick example. We had a senior UX researcher in my career coaching program called Career Strategy Lab. And this user researcher, we'll call them Danielle. Danielle followed all of these steps. And she ended up having a coffee chat with a product manager for a role she was interested in. That built this connection before the formal interview process even started. And then during the interviews, she said the interview felt like more of a natural conversation and less like an interrogation. And she ended up getting a job. And now I'm going to paraphrase, but she essentially said this was the most natural feeling way that the interview process went and that, frankly, getting any other job felt like, because it felt like she already knew people at the company. And so it wasn't this weird thing when she sent them an email or message, and that helped her then get actual replies from those people, right? So this works because it turns these very transactional cold emails into lukewarm connections that are more likely to receive replies. And we go way into this in Career Strategy Lab. We have a whole sprint all about relationships, connections, etc. But for today, I'm going to leave it at that. So before you start engaging in LinkedIn, this is our final tip. You want to make sure your LinkedIn profile is up to date, right? Because it doesn't make sense to start engaging and then increasing the chances that people are going to go to your LinkedIn profile if your LinkedIn profile is not up to date or has a bunch of spelling mistakes, or you're not making great use of the top banner image at the top of your profile, or your photo needs an update or something like that, right? So before you do any of this, go update your LinkedIn profile first, and then save this episode so you can go do the 5 things we just talked about. All right, so that is all for today. I know that was a lot. I feel like I was talking super fast, but in the spirit of action, I want you to take action, whether that is updating your LinkedIn profile so you're ready to do these 5 things, or if your LinkedIn profile is ready to go, start doing these 5 things today. If you have ideas for companies you want to apply to, then go find 5 people at those companies and follow them on LinkedIn, and just make that your action item for today. Then in the days to follow, you can start seeing their posts, reacting to their posts, leaving thoughtful comments, and moving those conversations to the DMs without using AI to write your comments, because that's going to ruin all this for you, right? Okay, so if you want more step-by-step guidance on your LinkedIn profile, on relationship building, or anything else in the job search, like creating your portfolio, negotiating, even figuring out what is next in your career and coming up with what I refer to as a career roadmap for your career, then you might be a great candidate for Career Strategy Lab, which was my 3-month career coaching program for mid and senior-ish UX and product people who want to be ready for their next opportunity or are in a job search right now. We're going to help you get all your materials ready to go, not waste time in your job search, so you can increase the odds that you get hired with a 5-figure salary increase or more. All right. If you want to learn more, just go to careerstrategylab.com. That's all for today. I will talk to you in the next episode.